Welcome to the CSG Law Firm Podcast, where we talk all things law firm finance, operations, strategies, and feature those who have dared to embrace bold changes in the legal landscape. I'm your host, Chelsea Williams, founder of Core Solutions Group and chief financial architect for law firms since 2017. I get the rare glimpse behind the curtain and into operations, mindset, and money habits that make or break law firms. Since COVID, everything we thought we knew about how law firms should run, look, and feel have been shattered. And out of that disruption, a new kind of law firm owner has emerged, one who's bold enough to build outside the box. Around here, we spotlight those renegades, owners who blend legal brilliance with real business strategy, who build boldly, think creatively, and know that money isn't just math, it's mindset. We don't shy away from hard truths. We lean in with curiosity, grit, and a little humor. Whether you're scaling, stabilizing, or just trying to stay sane, you'll find stories, strategies, and straight talk to help you run a more profitable, value-driven law firm. So grab your coffee or your case files and let's get into it. Because it's time to ditch the stuffy suits and take control of your cash flow, build something bold, and prioritize protecting profits in your pocket. Welcome back to Law Firm Money Matters, the place where we talk about the parts of your financial life you've been avoiding, like your inbox on a Monday morning, and other things. Today's episode, you're going to want to sit up for this one. I'm joined by someone who understands the money game from angles that most people don't even know exist. Financial planner and wealth strategist Frank Rekas. And listen, Frank and I didn't just chat, we masterminded. We went all in on the real stuff. The 5 key financial players every law firm owner must have. What happens when you mix financial shame with silence? And why your future self is desperately begging you to stop winging it with your money. In this episode, we talk about the real hot seat moments, the ones that pull you out of your comfort zone and shove you directly into your next level. We talk about bank relationships you didn't even know you needed. We talk about why budgeting isn't punishment, it's protection, guardrails, not handcuffs. And we talk about what it actually looks like to have people at your financial table who are rowing in the same direction instead of pulling you apart. And we also talk about the one thing every law firm owner avoids, the fear of getting financially naked in front of a professional. Spoiler, Frank has seen it all. I've seen it all. And neither of us are here to judge. We're here to elevate. This episode is packed. It's transformative. It's one of those conversations where you feel the room rise. You ready? Let's get into it.
So I think this is probably one of the first few things that I went to when we went out to that mastermind in Virginia that was actually called a mastermind. And I'm curious to hear your story about how you first heard of masterminds, because mine was like so profound. So, wow, how many years ago would it have been now? I'm thinking back, like running the numbers. Holy cow. So probably about 15 years ago was the first time I had ever heard of the idea of what a mastermind was. And I was at a CPA event, because back then I was working at a tax and accounting office, and I found this event. It was like 2 hours away from me. There were keynote speakers. I didn't even know what that was back then, right? And I don't know if you've hung around a lot of CPAs, or maybe financial advisors have this stigma too, but I'm in this room and they're bringing up these people and these people are speaking and I'm on fire and I'm looking like to the left and to the right of me and I'm looking at the people behind me. I'm like, how are they just sitting there with a straight face? I'm so excited. Why aren't we excited? It was kind of like a stale group, right? But the final keynote speaker came up. It was Mark Victor Hansen, who I didn't know who that was when he came in, but he is one of the co-authors of Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Okay. Why do I know that name? That's why.
Yeah, and he was amazing. Like he can move an audience, although I guess CPAs are a really hard audience. He moved me when I heard.
You're not really a CPA though, right?
I'm not. I'm a unicorn. Yes. Yeah. And I went away
exactly.
from taxes because who wants to not have a life 3 to 4 months out of the year? Not me. I want my life. So,
For sure.
but he had brought it up and he was bringing up all of these other huge names of just like in my mind were these bigger than life people. And he was like, mastermind. We all get together and mastermind. And immediately I was like, oh my gosh, what is a mastermind? Like, I want to go. This sounds so cool. But that's how I kind of got turned on to the idea of what a mastermind was and, what the expectations were. And so over the past 15 years, I'll hear about masterminds and I get a lot of different feedback. And it sounds like they're hosted very different. They are
Hmm.
run very different. They have different
Hmm.
cadences. Sometimes it's one. But for me, I guess I see a mastermind as like-minded people coming together, and they all have a specific goal, either individually that they bring to the table and the group collaborates with them to solve, or everybody
Hmm.
has a mission, like, you know, through an organization like raising money to create housing shelters. But we have this main purpose. And I think the most valuable thing for me, for the group that we went to as well, is
Hmm.
like the other minds that were in the room. I immediately felt
Yep.
elevated and had
Hmm.
different perspectives that were challenging.
Yep.
And I love that. So, what about you?
Yep.
How did you like come to know about masterminds and what's your experience with it?
So I first participated in one with my business coach probably 5, 6 years ago. And I had always heard about mastermind groups, and I really wasn't sure what they were. What was the purpose? At some point, it kind of sounded like, well, is this just like a large networking group where people get together? Or is it really something significantly deeper? And I come to find out that when it's done right, it's definitely something that's significantly deeper. So when I first got into a group with my business coach, and he only coaches financial advisors, he doesn't coach anybody else. So you're not no CPAs, no attorneys. It's just financial advisors. And he plucked 15 of us to participate, and we met a couple times a year. But the first time that I went, he actually gave us an agenda of how the meeting was going to go, but everybody had to bring something to the table, whether it was a concern, whether it was an idea, or maybe it was a problem. And the thought process behind it was, okay, you're going to get 30 to 45 minutes to give your presentation, for lack of a better term. And then the whole room was going to dissect it and help you get through it. So it's really kind of funny because at one of them that I went to, might have been the third one, I was in management at the time and I was kind of getting frustrated with it. And I talked about that frustration and all the things that went along with it. And if there were 14 other people in the room, plus my coach, it was unanimous that I get out of management just because of what I talked about, which I ultimately did. And I've also created my own locally. And is it really a mastermind or is it really networking? And we're trying to kind of get through that ourselves. We've got 15 like-minded people because my business partner and I, we specifically handpicked the people that we wanted in there. We don't want it to be a networking group. We don't want to force people to give introductions or referrals, but we encourage it. But really what we wanted to do was learn from each other in the particular professions that we're in. And because of me and working mostly with attorneys, out of 15 people, there's probably 9 attorneys in there. And that's just the way that it organically came together. And obviously, the one that you and I were at in Virginia, that was my third one with that group. And every time I leave, I've got like pages of notes. I'm on the plane, and usually I've gone home back down to Florida, but this time I went to visit my daughter for a week in Columbus, and I got pages of notes, I got thoughts, I got ideas, and actually it was kind of good that I didn't come home because I got to work through some of it and actually put a couple things in place that I think are starting to gain some traction.
Ah, that's so exciting. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes it a really great mastermind are those moments where it's like you're in there in your face reality. Like you're sitting around this table, you've taken your hot seat, if you will, and you're like, here's my
Mhm.
concern, here's what I can't wrap my head around, here's where I'm stuck. And when everyone in the group kind of sees the same thing, it's such a confirmation and like a just a reality hit.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
had that there too. I walked away with definitely a couple nuggets that we've started working on. So it's this like, it's kind of exploring you don't know what you don't know,
Right.
and
Exactly.
that's why the people in it are so important. The level of people that are in the group are so important because they have to see like above you. They have to see outside of you. And it's so easy to get stuck in our box of
Hmm.
reasoning and possibilities that something like this just opens your mind up to it.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. And the selection of the people in the group, I think, is probably the most important thing. And, he does a great job of doing that. And it's funny how we could be 9 total strangers. We might know each other from LinkedIn, and maybe 1 or 2 of us have been to this event before. But you get in there and like it's like we're all friends. It's like we've been doing this for 10 years, and there's no apprehension. There's no, oh my gosh, I'm worried if I bring this up, what's everybody going to think about me? We're just like spitting it out, and there's no judgment, which I think is probably the best thing. No judgment, but full of ideas. And like you said, I walk out of there and I'm like, I'm at a higher level. I feel so much better having come to this. This time I said, why is it only 1 day? When are we going to make it a couple of days?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And yeah, arguably, the most important thing are the people that you surround yourself. Well, there's that saying, you are the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And when
Yeah.
you're doing
Yeah.
something like running a business, starting a business, running a business, growing a business, staying in business, because that is a job in and of itself,
Yes, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
You have to surround yourself with people because stagnance equals death in our world.
Yeah.
Cannot
Right.
afford to be stagnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. My business partner tells me a story about one of her daughters not being friends per se or hanging out with someone as much or anymore. And she asked her, well, why not? And, well, she doesn't help me grow, which, I think is a perfect comparison to what you just said. If you're the product of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, and you need to be very careful with who those 5, maybe it's even 10 people, who they are. If someone is consistently negative, that's going to get inside your head a little bit, and it's going to, hopefully you're going to reach a point where I can't be with this person anymore. You have to start like not burning the ships, but cutting
Making
back
those
on the
hard
relationship a little
decisions.
bit. Yeah, exactly. Because that's not good. It's not good for your mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so what I would love to do for our audience today, I had this idea before we hopped on. You and I are going to mastermind for law firm owners around, it's funny we said the 5 people you hang around the most. So we want your your financial wealth to be overflowing and abundant and maximize it. And so one of the ways that you can achieve this is to mastermind with your key financial players. And I talk about 5 of those key financial players. And so they are, and I think this is important for law firm owners to understand because you don't know what you don't know. They can come to me and expect taxes, not realizing that a CFO is different than a tax preparer. They can come to you possibly and think taxes, but every financial advisor doesn't necessarily do taxes. And so the goal with these 5 key financial players is to help law firm owners understand who sits in that seat and what is that seat supposed to be doing. And what I encourage clients to do is bring these key financial players to the same table, even if it's a round table once a year, to make sure that everybody is headed in the right direction for you and your financial freedom.
Yep. Yep, exactly. Coming up through the ranks of business when I first started, it was never really about how many different financial people would be involved. It would be about the financial advisor, the CPA, the attorney, maybe a bookkeeper, maybe a business coach. But when it came to finances, nobody ever got together and talked. And it became harder doesn't pertain specifically to law firm owners, but we are talking about law firm owners, but even business owners where they don't talk to all these people at the same time. So how do you really know where you're headed? How do you really know, are you profitable? Yes, I got great money coming in, but geez, I feel like I'm bleeding it, every month. Why is that? And when you quarterback it and when you are able to talk to all of the people and they're all talking together and they're on the same page, well, now you're making progress. Now you're heading in a positive direction as opposed to wondering, is this the right thing for me?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Because each of these positions left on their own could be motivated to take your finance in a different direction than the next key financial player.
Yeah.
And that's where
Yeah.
the importance comes into play.
Yeah.
So the 5 key financial players that I have come to identify are your bookkeeper and or accountant. So this is the person who's responsible for those month-to-month functions, payroll, bookkeeping. Ultimately, these are the people that are responsible for timely, accurate, and organized financial statements.
Mm-hmm.
That's key financial player number 1. Key financial player number 2 is your CPA or EA, which
Mm-hmm.
is your tax professional. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't drive home enough with this individual and for law firm owners to understand that there is a huge difference between preparing a tax return year by year and creating a tax strategy that accounts for the next 3 years, give or take.
Yeah.
So that's key financial player number 2. The third one, and I never hear this. I'm the only person that talks about that I know of that talks about the importance of having a relationship with your business banker.
Mm. Yeah. That's so true. I don't hear that enough either. Yeah. Exactly.
And it
There's a lot of
sounds
reasons
so
for
old
that.
school
Mm.
initially, right? But here's the example I always default to. When COVID hit, businesses found financial relief in the PPP loan, the Paycheck Protection
Mm-hmm.
Loan, right?
Right.
Where did they have to go to get that loan?
The bank.
The bank.
Hello.
And like, and I went for it too. I'm like, yeah, this is
Mm-hmm.
here. I don't know how this is going to affect our business. I had my banker on speed, like I have her number saved in my phone, and immediately I picked up the phone and called her, and she was like, absolutely. Matter of fact, I'll fill out the application. Just sign it for me. And that's how
Perfect.
easy it was for me to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program. So then on the other hand, when COVID hit, we were inundated with phone calls. It turns out people care a lot more about their money when it's in jeopardy,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to being proactive about it, which makes total sense. But let this be an example to be proactive about your finance, even if it feels fine.
Yes.
Right?
They're
But
more
they
they're,
were
they're more afraid about what they're going to lose,
yes.
right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
newsflash, it's still up to lose, regardless of if there is a virus threatening our lifestyle or not.
Exactly.
It's always there to lose. But some people, I mean, it was as bad as I would talk to people who their bank wouldn't get back to them. So then they would apply at another bank, and then they wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
get back to them, and then they would apply at another bank. And now all of a sudden can't get approved for anything because they have multiple applications out there. I mean, it was a disaster for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's almost like you have a relationship with your doctor so that when you're sick, he or she gets you in right away. You don't have a relationship with a doctor, all of a sudden you get what's called the flu. Yeah, hi Chelsea, we can see you. It's July. We can see you September 29th. Oh, geez, what's going to happen to me by then? So you're right. It is so important to have an ongoing relationship with this banker because you never know when you're going to need to have your name, your list, your application moved to the top of the pile. And without that relationship, it's just not going to happen. I don't know who this Chelsea is. I got to get to Frank and Charlie and Susie before her, you know?
That's a really good analogy. Yeah. And on top of that, it is another referral network opportunity. And
Yeah.
so first of all, a lot of people I talk to don't even know that they can get a designated banker for their business bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
absolutely a thing. And it's as
Mm-hmm.
easy as just call your bank and be like, who's my business banker? If I don't have one, can I have one? Preferably
Right.
somebody local, because like what I'll tell people is take them out to coffee twice a year. It does not have to
Yeah.
be super involved, right?
Right.
And just that alone can at least position you to have that connection should the worst happen. And you're not going to have to
Mm-hmm.
go through any of the headache that everybody else is going through.
Absolutely. And I was listening to a podcast the other day. It was designed for financial advisors, but they were talking about different relationships that a financial advisor should have. And they did say you need to have a relationship with at least a couple business bankers because they're working with the business owner. There are even business bankers that I've run into now that work specifically with law firms or I just spoke to a gentleman in New York the other day. He was hired specifically to help build up the law firm database and client base for this specific bank that he's working at. So they're out there, and they're an important, spike or spoke in the wheel. Spike, spoke. Yeah.
We knew what you were saying. Yeah, no, for sure. And also just that networking person,
Yeah.
right? Like you find
Exactly.
somebody local, somebody, send them their way, and obviously they can send referrals your way. So it's really just another opportunity for that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely is.
Yeah. So that's the third on my list. The fourth on my list is CFO. A CFO is somebody different. So a CFO is going to, in my book, what a CFO does is they understand the entire landscape of how all of these moving pieces work and how they fit together. And they speak finance. They speak the language of accounting. They can interpret your current financial position. They can communicate with you about your future financial goals, and they can uncover and quantify the different opportunities that are out there for you. But most importantly, and why, once you get to $1 million in revenue annually, you should engage with a fractional CFO, is that they are your playbook for when something happens, when something changes. If you have an opportunity to acquire a firm that is going out of business that you've heard about, if things are happening internally and you don't know why, a CFO is going to be able to look at your numbers, look at your metrics, and say, go here, look here, have these conversations. This is where something is broke. Like they're going to pinpoint to you where in the process you need to be looking in operations.
Oh, absolutely. You need to have somebody that's watching your numbers or watching the cash flow, watching the budgeting. I mean, you and I both know how law firm owners can be. Money's flowing in, and they write a check for this, they write a check for that. Not physically writing. I mean, I don't know how many people write checks anymore, but you know what I mean.
More than you would think.
And they start spending, and all of a sudden they get to the end of a month or end of a quarter, like, geez, we had a really good quarter, but the business bank account doesn't have as much in there as I thought. What happened? Because they're so busy doing their business, right? If you're a law firm owner, you're working your cases, you're researching, you're hiring, you're training. Hopefully you're delegating some of this stuff. Are you paying attention to the money? You need someone to pay attention to the money. And it's like I describe in some of the work that I do, it's not handcuffs, it's guardrails. It's not like we're going to stop you from spending, but we're hopefully going to prevent you from making that big mistake.
Which is so interesting when I hear you say it out loud, because budget can be a triggering word for people because it implies that, right? Like people are so
like,
resistant.
Oh no, I can't spend any money? No, that's not what it means.
But I love how you put it. Like these are guardrails. I call them boundaries. They're boundaries. And what these guardrails are protecting is your future financial freedom.
Exactly. Yes.
And the reason, and the fifth key financial player on my list is your retirement advisor or your investment advisor, the person that is looking out for your absolute future self. Like that's their focus, and that is you. And so I'm going to hand it over to you and talk about, what that looks like, and then tie them all together. Like who else you would love to speak with at the table of the key financial advisors, and why.
Yeah, so that's a great kind of way to segue into this. And I guess I'm just going to give some generic examples about some of the law firms or law firm owners that we work with. And with what I do as a financial planner, my role can be completely comprehensive. We can do the financial plan. And within that, doing that financial plan, I'm going to say most of the time, we're going to uncover something that needs attention, whether it's on the risk management side, meaning, life insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance, or funding your buy-sell agreement where you have a partner and you've got the agreement, but there's no funding for it, meaning no life insurance or disability insurance. Or it could be the wealth management side, which could be your brokerage account, your investment account, or it could be your retirement plans, whether it's IRA, 401k, profit sharing, defined benefit, cash balance plans, which are making a big comeback now because that allows you to put away 6 figures and save 30-40% on your taxes every year. And this is where I see a lot of traction, because a lot of attorneys and law firm owners are not aware that this is available for them. And a lot of what I hear is, well, do you know an accountant or a CPA that's going to be more proactive with tax planning? Because mine isn't. I just had a call Friday with 2 partners who both said that. I had a call earlier in the week with a sole practitioner who said that. So no offense to the CPAs and accountants that are out there, but people are looking for more planning. They don't want to just give you all of their documents and say, what do I owe? They want actual ideas and ways to reduce their tax burden. And we use the code. There's things out there that you can do. So for me, the CPA or EA is almost like the first person that we collaborate with. The next person would be someone like you, the fractional CFO, because you know the numbers day to day. You see what's coming in all the time, and you also see what's going out, and you're in tune with them on a very regular basis, whereas the CPA or EA may not be. And just, here's your quarterly estimates. This is what I want you to pay. We'll talk mid-year and I'll see you later. And where I come from a more comprehensive approach is we look at everything. If something comes up because we're doing the financial plan and we discover a need, doesn't matter what the need is, I always tell people you have 3 choices. You can go back to one of your other advisors. Maybe you have an insurance advisor. Maybe you have a investment advisor. You could do it yourself, which is probably never going to happen, or you can do it with me. But the financial plan, it's not the plan that people want. Nobody wakes up and says, I want a financial plan. Let me call a financial planner. What the financial plan actually does is it gives you a roadmap to see where you're going. What are you lacking? What needs to be fine-tuned? Or maybe in this particular spot, hey, you know what? You're in great shape. If you keep doing this, you're going to be fine. And that's really what they want to know. Am I going to be okay? It's not about what's my number. I don't know what your number is. We're probably too far away from that. We can work towards a number, but most people want peace of mind and to have the financial freedom to be able to make decisions and not worry about money. And it starts from planning, focusing on tax savings, and then everything else just kind of follows through.
Yeah. And so the way that I completely agree with you that like the 3 most important key financial players, and not even most important in general, because like without a bookkeeper or accountant, you have no financial data to look at. So none of us can do our jobs. So that's very important.
Yes.
So not to undermine that, but when it comes to what you do of creating this financial plan, I agree that the other 2 key financial players that are the most important to have at that table are going to be your tax person and your CFO.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, people that are engaged in our fractional CFO offering, they always have a stagnant 3-year rolling forecast. So being able to come to someone like you at a table with a tax preparer and have the next 3 years forecasted to the best of our ability. And look, we're not looking for perfection in this. We're looking for direction, because it's assumed something's going to change within those 3 years. The idea is we're staying on top of the change and we're making sure it's changing in a better direction. But coming to the table with someone like you and someone like a tax preparer with that 3-year projection, I mean, how much of an up is that for someone coming to you for a financial plan?
It helps dramatically with the planning and the process because it gives me an idea of what the targets are that you're trying to achieve, as opposed to someone who's not working with someone like you and who has a CPA or an EA who's just filing returns and telling you how much you owe. It helps make my role significantly easier. Now, am I a duplication of anything? It's not that I'm a duplication of anything. It's more of a collaboration with all of it. And I like to look ahead I want people to plan ahead. You don't know where you're going. You picture yourself in Nebraska and just drop you out of a plane and you're in Omaha. You don't know what to do. You need a map. You need some form of GPS to figure out what you're supposed to do. Well, retirement planning, financial freedom, lifestyle planning, it's all the same. You have to know where you're going and how you're going to get there. The sooner you start, the easier it gets, because nobody likes to play catch up, because the numbers get bigger when you have to play catch up. And sometimes that works against you because, oh my gosh, I got to put away how much to get where I need to be? Yeah, I know. And it can devastate you in your mindset because I didn't think it was going to take that much to put away to get to where I need to be.
Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned that I wanted to intentionally circle back to, you had said, look, we're going to find something. When you come to us and we first create this financial plan, no matter if you have a 3-year forecast, an amazing tax strategist, like we're going to find something. It's almost like Tony Robbins says, everybody has a garden. We're going to get in there and find the weeds and pick the weeds out. We know there are weeds in there, right? And
Yeah.
I would imagine that those weeds in what you do in that plan are kind of what keep people from taking that first step of reaching out to someone like you and starting the process. Like it's
Yeah.
overwhelming. They're going to ask me all these questions. Most people, statistically speaking, carry shame and guilt around money. So then just knowing that I already know there's something not great with my numbers. I don't know what, but I know it's not
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Plus Frank already told me when I come to him, we're going to find things. It puts you in a very vulnerable position. So what would you
Yeah.
say to those people who kind of resonate with that?
I can definitely appreciate that feeling, especially with someone that has just started making very good money and may not have a lot to show for it yet, right? And that's the key, yet. But the thing of it is I've been doing this for a long time, 3 decades. I have seen a lot. And I know it kind of feels like when you come to someone like me, and maybe even like you're vulnerable, you're nervous, you're scared, you have this impression of who you feel that you are in the community. But when it gets down to the numbers, it doesn't look like it adds up per se, right? And you have this feeling, oh man, I don't want to get financially undressed. And I get it. I get it. You don't want me looking at your financial junk drawer, which is a bunch of stuff that's just kind of out of place and everywhere. But I'm here to help you get organized. I'm not here to judge you, right? If you've done a few things already, I'm going to applaud that. Thank goodness you started a 401k. Thank goodness you have some life insurance. Thank goodness you've got, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months of emergency money. Terrific. Whatever positive thing is that I can find, I'm going to let you know about that so that, the feeling isn't so intense on you that, oh my gosh, she's going to find something wrong. And then I'm just going to like freak out about it. So I've seen a lot of things. I don't judge anybody because no one's perfect. You're doing what you're doing at that point in time with what you thought was the right thing. But because you came to me now, you probably realize that, okay, I need to fix a few things. I need to take care of a few things. And hopefully Frank can help me get on the right path for that.
I really appreciate that because I get the same thing and I completely understand it. I mean, money is a taboo subject for most people in life. It's not something that they were raised to talk about at the dinner table. And so it can feel incredibly exposing. And especially when you're in a position where and you're saying things to yourself like, I think I waited too long to start saving and investing, and I haven't done my books in 2 years, and all of these things. It can be very difficult to step forward and to talk to somebody like one of us. But like you said, and I'm just going to echo it, for the person listening who this is you and you need to do some things, but it seems so overwhelming and scary to reach out to someone like us. Frank nailed it. We have been doing this for so long. We have seen so many different stories. All of them have their validity. We have nothing but grace and appreciation for the fact that you have just made this decision for yourself. because we are truly here for you. And even if it feels like it's late, you can absolutely start today. There is a starting place, and weeds are normal, and there's nothing to be ashamed about. The good news is now you know where those weeds are, and people like Frank and I can really help to. It's kind of a process where you had mentioned, part of the reason why people feel this way is because the image and idea that they're projecting out into the world is not what's actually happening in their financial story. Our goal, yours and mine, is to reconcile who they want to show up as or who they're showing up as with their numbers and get them on the same page. Because more often than not, it's really just a lack of understanding and education. Financial literacy is not taught in schools. There is an absolutely valid reason why, up until this point, some of you listening don't know what finance is, what accounting means, what financial reports are saying to you, what the heck investing in retirement looks like. There's a completely valid reason, and taking that first step is going to be the ultimate game changer for you.
I agree 100%. There's a client, and we just did one of our quarterly reviews with him the other day, my business partner and I. When we first started working with him about 12-ish years ago, before we started, he said, I'm shopping. I'm looking for the right advisor. Okay, we got past that. And he said, I need to grow up financially. I'm at a point in my life, he was 52, I think. I need to grow up. I need to get things in order. Fast forward, and I think we did everything right for him. He is a great guy. We feel like family. We know his daughters. We know the wife. I mean, we've had lunch, breakfast. We've been to the house, celebrated the birth of his first grandchild. But he had a heart attack last year on his birthday while he was out of the country. And he said, after he was able to talk, he says, without you guys, I wouldn't feel as comfortable and set as I do because of you guys. And I mean, when his daughter called to tell me about the situation, she started crying. I'm an emotional person. I can cry at the drop of a hat. I started crying, and it was just like a very scary moment. But after we met, or right after we finished our meeting last week, before we all hang up, he goes, guys, I love you. Talk to you next time. And when you hear that from a client, and I call my clients friends, you've done good work. You've made a difference in their life. And you talked about growing up not talking about money. I mean, my aunt used to slip me a $2, a dollar bill, and so that my uncle wouldn't see it. Say, don't tell Uncle Tom. I'm like, what are we doing? We got something illegal going on here. But we're taught not to talk about money, and sometimes that goes into our adult life. And for me, my family, money was very difficult. My parents were divorced. I watched how it affected them. I don't want my clients to end up like that. And that's what I fight for.
Yeah, that's another big factor in it. Not only are we not taught, we're seeing and hearing all the wrong things.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is misleading. A lot of it is flat out false. And so Frank and I are here to open up the conversation around money, the conversation around how did your client put it? It's time for me to grow up with money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time for me to grow up. Like, we want to help you get to this place. And the thing is, we're here to take the weight off of it too. And make sure that you know what you need to know, but that you can still focus on running your law firm, spending time with your family. Like, a lot of the heavy lifting is what you get from your key financial players. And as long as you know what each of them are, how to communicate with them, what the expectation is as far as what they're doing with you, and the fact that they're all masterminding together for your version of financial freedom, that's what it's about.
Exactly. And, one other thing, if I could add, is that law firm owners are very private people. And when you work with me, no one is going to find out that you're working with me. If they do, It's because you told them. So just like you have your, client confidentiality, I have the same thing. If you want to tell someone we're working together, great. But I won't do it, and I'll never portray your situation on social media either.
Mm.
It's not fair to anybody. Now, if you gave me the go ahead, that's a different story. But I would never ask, hey, Chelsea, can I talk about your situation on social media? So I know a lot of attorneys are nervous about letting people know who it is that they work with or something about their finances. It's completely confidential.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we one of the things we talked about in the mastermind are the things that we typically see with lawyers specifically. And that was definitely one of them. And with what you and I do, I know like getting reviews or asking for testimonials, especially video ones, because we're supposed to do that in business, right? Like it is
Yeah,
cricket.
right.
Like it is
Yeah, yeah,
absolute crickets. And again, I completely get it. But yeah, confidentiality you will find in the right people, which is why, I advocate for the rule of three. If you're looking for a Frank or a Chelsea, find two other people that do what they do and interview all of us. Because good fit matters, connection matters, values matter. So that is valid.
absolutely. You have to be comfortable with the person that you like. And, we've all heard know, like, and trust, but you also have to have confidence in the person to be able to get done what you want to have done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
That was great. This was a great conversation. I always love talking about the key financial players.
No, this was good. I enjoyed it. And I think as a law firm owner, you need to find the time because I know time is valuable. But I've got meetings set up in August, September, October, November for people because they just have to wait that long. Which it is what it is. But the sooner you get started, the heavy lifting, it's on my end, it's on Chelsea's end. It's not really on your end, except maybe at the beginning, and then we kind of take the load off and run it from there.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a perfect thing to close out with. You had mentioned with the mastermind that you and I went to, it worked out well that you didn't go home right after because you could really implement those things that you took from the mastermind. Are there any other action steps, things that as soon as this podcast episode is over, you would encourage people to do?
I kind of felt this question coming.
And maybe that's it. Maybe
Um,
it's just book the appointment, right? Like get on Frank's
yeah,
calendar, find a couple other people, like just get it on the calendar.
yeah. We all have the same 24/7 in our days, and maybe I can leave with this. You will spend more time planning a 2-week vacation than you will planning your financial future. That's kind of backwards.
Wow. That's some
So I'm here.
perspective.
I'm here. Chelsea's here. Reach out to us. We'll do the heavy lifting. We just need to get some information to get started.
Yes, absolutely. We got you. Frank, for anybody interested, where should they go to find you, read more about you, see more what you're doing?
So I'm on LinkedIn, very simple, Frank Rekas. My email or our website is Palm wealthpartners.com. We're located in Boca Raton, Florida, but I work all over the US. And if you want to send me an email, it's frank at Palm Wealth Partners. And I'm going to give out my phone number, 954-253-5508. Always happy to talk.
I love it. And of course, we'll have all of these links in the show notes for you guys. Frank, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for letting me talk to you before we started. Like, hey, I have this idea. We're going to do something different. This was really good and really important. So I
Awesome.
appreciate you.
Great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
If you've made it to this point, then something in this conversation hit you exactly where it was supposed to. Because here's the truth. Your financial life is not something you get to later. Later is the enemy. Later is how you wake up one day with a successful law firm and absolutely nothing to show for it. What Frank and I talked about today, your 5 key financial players, your banker, your CFO, your tax strategist, your financial planner, these are not optional roles. They are the backbone of your freedom. They're the reason some people retire peacefully and others never stop running. And I hope you caught the heart of what Frank said. There is no shame in starting late, messy, confused, overwhelmed, embarrassed, whatever. We've seen it all. We expect it. We're here for it. Because the point isn't where are you today? It's where are you willing to go next? So here's your action step. Not a suggestion, not a maybe, an action step. Get your financial team on the calendar. Book the call. Start the conversation. Build the room of people who see above you and beyond you and around your blind spots. Because you'll spend more time planning a 2-week vacation than you will planning your financial future. And that ends today. If you want support, if you want strategy, if you want your money to finally match the version of you that you keep showing the world, Frank and I are here. Truly. Thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing to grow. And remember, it's always and never about the money. See you in the next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the CSG Law Firm podcast. If today's conversation sparks something for you, an idea, a challenge, or even a little discomfort, that's exactly the point. We're here to rethink the way law firm owners approach money, leadership, and growth. If you're ready to dive deeper, connect with me and my team and learn more about Core Solutions Group and what we do, head on over to our website in the show notes, doorcoresolution.com. Because sometimes all it takes is a fresh perspective and the right people in your corner. Until next time, keep building with intention, lead with clarity, and remember, the numbers tell the story, but you get to write the next chapter.